In Canada's largest city, there's a high-stake competition playing out right in plain sight. It's not taking place on the streets, but on your phone screen and deep inside City Hall. The Toronto hotel industry, a cornerstone of the city's economy, is watching a huge chunk of its revenue just walk out the door. We are about to show you the financial data that reveals just how much business they are losing to an invisible competitor. One that's hiding in thousands of condo towers and residential homes right across the city. But this isn't just about empty rooms or lost profits. For the hotels, it's a struggle for survival. On one side, you have iconic, unionized hotels that have been a part of Toronto's landscape for a century. On the other, a scattered network of thousands of hosts, all powered by global tech platforms like Airbnb. For the hotel industry, this is a clash with a competitor who they say isn't playing by the same rules. We will break down the Hotel Association's strategy to push back and reveal what's really at stake in the contest for the future of hospitality in Toronto. So, how did we get here? When Airbnb first launched, it sold a simple, almost romantic idea: home sharing. You could rent a spare room to a friendly traveler, make a little extra cash, and share a piece of your city. It felt personal, authentic, and completely different from a hotel room. But that idea quickly grew into something much more corporate. In Toronto, the platform's growth was explosive. What started with a few square rooms soon became a sprawling, unregulated network of tens of thousands of units, from a single room to an entire luxury condo. All of a sudden, Toronto's hotels weren't just competing with the Marriott down the street. They were up against thousands of unregistered, untaxed accommodations that popped up out of nowhere. These weren't just people renting out a spare room anymore. A new type of operator emerged: the commercial host. These were investors who bought or leased multiple properties, not to live in, but to run exclusively as a short-term rental. These ghost hotels become the hotel industry #1 target. Commercial operations disguised as a home sharing, stealing customers without paying the taxes, or following the regulations of a legitimate hotel. This sets the stage for a massive confrontation, the hotels claiming that they were facing a serious challenge for a competitor they couldn't even see. And when the hotels say they're under pressure, they have got the receipts to prove it. The data shows a major and ongoing shift of revenue away from the traditional hotels and over to the short-term rental platforms. In Toronto, the short-term rental market has swelled into an industry worth hundreds of millions of dollars, directly eating into the hotel sector share. Let's break it down. As of early 2026, Toronto has thousands of active Airbnb listings, and the money they generate is huge. While one source puts the average annual revenue per listing at $38,000, another indicates it's closer to $14,000. Top performing properties in prime locations can pull in significantly more money. That's a massive amount of cash being diverted from the traditional hotel sector. In fact, one report from the Hotel Association of Canada pointed out that entire home rentals, the ones that compete directly with the hotel rooms, were responsible for over 80% of all Airbnb revenue in the GTA. This competition is the hottest where it hurts the most, during peak tourist season. Short-term rentals consistently pull in high occupancy rate, with an average of 68%, by offering prices that our hotel struggle to match. While the downtown Toronto hotel might charge $250 a night, a typical Airbnb can go for closer to $124, creating a powerful draw for travelers watching their wallet. But the most alarming trend for hotels is the rise of the professional host. One pivotal report reveals that in the Toronto, Hosts managing 2 or more listings generate half of all the revenue. These multi-unit hosts operate like a full-blown business, with some running hundreds of units. Yet for years they dodged the commercial property tax, licensing fee, and safety rules that hotels are legally required to follow. The HSE found that the revenue generated by these multi-unit hosts in Canada skyrocketed by 134% in just 1 year. This isn't home sharing. It's a parallel, unregulated hotel industry. Faced with a major challenge to their business, the hotel industry, led by the Hotel Association of Canada, began a concerted campaign. Their argument wasn't just about losing money. It was about being fair, safety, and their contribution to the economy of the city. For years, they have run a major lobbying campaign with one main goal: level the playing field. Their biggest complaint: that platforms like Airbnb allowed commercial operators to run illegal ghost hotels without the consequences. In a 2017 report, the HSE argued that these commercial hosts act like hotels but without any of the responsibilities. Hotels have to meet strict health and safety standards, offer accessible rooms, follow tough fire codes, pay commercial property taxes, and contribute to the local tourism fund. For a long time, short-term rental operators did none of this. The economic difference is stark. The hotel sector supported thousands of stable, often unionized full-time jobs, whereas the gig economy model of the rental platform support far fewer in comparison. Hotels are also huge contributors of the tax base, while the short-term rental market's contribution was a fraction of that before the new rules were put in place. In response, the HSE pushed hard for modern regulations. Their key demand was very clear: allow only rentals in the host principal's residence. This was their top priority, aimed at wiping out the commercial ghost hotel operators. Making registration mandatory, they wanted every host to register with the city, display a license number on their listings to track illegal operators. Hold platforms accountable, the HSE insisted that companies like Airbnb be responsible for taking down illegal listings and face big fines if they don't. Share data for enforcements. They demanded that platforms give the city data to help enforce the rules. This relentless push worked. In 2017, Toronto City Council passed new bylaws that included many of these demands, a move that HSE celebrated as a significant win. It marked a huge turning point, shifting the focus from public opinion to legal enforcement. But this issue isn't about corporate profits. It has major consequences for the entire city. The explosion of the short-term rental has become a big part of one of Toronto's worst crises: housing affordability. It's a phenomenon called the Airbnb effect. Here's how it works. For a property owner, especially of a downtown condo, renting to a tourist on Airbnb can be way more profitable than leasing to a long-term tenant. This creates a huge financial incentive for landlords to pull their properties out of the housing supply and turn them into makeshift hotel rooms. At one point, it was estimated that thousands of entire homes were removed from the long-term market, putting incredible pressure on an already tight housing supply. Advocacy groups like Airbnb Canada have been sounding the alarm on this for years, pointing to specific condo buildings where hundreds of units were operating as ghost hotels. In some downtown neighborhoods, nearly a third of Airbnb entire inventory was concentrated, completely changing the feel of those communities. This conversion of housing for tourist use directly linked for rising long-term rent prices. With fewer units available, competition and prices for Toronto residents went up. The City of Toronto tried to tackle this with new rules. They declared that short-term rentals are only legal in a host principal residence, cap the entire home rental at 180 nights per year, and require all hosts to register. But that enforcement has been a constant struggle. For years, illegal listings swamped the legal ones. While the city has been cracking down with higher fees and more inspectors since 2024, the challenge is still massive. So where does that leave us now? This turf dispute in Toronto is nowhere near finished. It's grown from a simple market disruption into a complex regulatory dilemma that gets the very heart of the city. For hotels, it's a very still matter of fair competition against the global giant that they feel has profited from a rigged game. For the city, it's a tricky balancing act between the money tourism brings in and the desperate need for affordable housing for its own residents. And while regulations have brought in some order in the chaos, the basic transition is still there. The appeal of short-term rental cash is powerful, and trying to enforce the rules across thousands of individual listings is a perpetual game of whack-a-mole. The hotel industry achieved a huge goal, getting regulations on the books. But now the effort has moved into the day-to-day grind by law enforcement and making sure the platforms are held accountable. And this isn't just a Toronto story. Cities all over the world are watching, trying to figure out how to handle this disruptive power of digital economy. The outcome here will help define the future of city living, hospitality, and what it really means to share our cities. What do you think will ultimately win in the competition for Toronto's future? The established hotels or the decentralized world of Airbnb? Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have found this information helpful, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you are thinking of buying or selling real estate in the GTA, please give me a call. My contact information is in the description below. Until next time, see you soon.